So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Brilliant Businesses podcast. My name is Nick Bryant, and I'm very pleased to be joined today by Andrew Mann from Clarity Homes and Commercial. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
I think it's afternoon. Well, it's 10 past, but who cares?
Feels morning.
Who cares? Yeah. So Andrew's business offers commercial building and construction services to property professionals in Kent, Sussex, Surrey and Greater London area. Yep. It has to be said, I've been trying to get Andrew on the podcast for a while.
I said that to some of the people in the office this morning. I was like, do you remember like 12 months ago when he asked us to come along? That's where I'm going today.
Yeah, so, well, thank you for eventually coming on the podcast. It's really great news to talk to you. So, you've been a busy man, so I understand. So, but let's start by you telling us about how it all came about. You know, as you know, in Brilliant Business, we like to tell that story as to how you got to where. So take
the brilliantness.
The brilliantness. Take it away, yeah.
Oh God, we'll be here for days. I suppose one of the main things is my dad's a carpenter.
Okay.
That's probably one of the first things. My dad was a carpenter, and I think when I was like 13, 14, I used to go and work on building sites.
Right, yeah.
So I used to go out and earn a bit of money. That's the only way I could buy my own stuff when I was a youngster. So so I went out doing that sort of stuff, and it was, as a young lad, it was kind of easy money, just labour and stuff like that. And I think as it grew and progressed, I wanted to do a bit more. When you come out of school, you don't really know what you want to do. And it's amazing that we still think that 16, 17-year-olds come out of school and be like, yeah, that's my life sorted. And, I was a bit lost. So I did kind of follow my dad, who was a carpenter. I worked for the same guy that he was employed with.
Okay.
I'd done my carpentry apprenticeship, and carpentry was actually a really good one to get into. And it's kind of, as we go through these things, it's set up like carpentry's a good person.
It's a good starting point for getting into your trade, I think. Isn't it?
Because carpenters become good site managers and stuff like that, because they have to work with all the different types of trades. So you get to learn a lot more, not just about the carpentry itself.
Right.
I think it was towards the end of my apprenticeship. I was getting cards printed. I was delivering leaflets where my mum lived in Tunbridge Wells.
Okay.
I started to try and find my own work. I was advertising with, I think it was one of the local papers at the time. Yeah. And then I think it was like a Yellow Pages thing, like an online version where they do the marketing stuff. I spent absolute thousands. And
did you?
Yeah, and it was just getting ourselves out there. And then one day there was a electrical contractor who used to do was working on commercial fit outs.
Yeah.
And this was just at the point where I was just finishing off my carpentry apprenticeship. And I might add, actually, I won some awards. I wasn't doing a joinery course, I was doing a carpentry course.
All right, yeah.
But because I finished my carpentry course early, they put me in for a joinery competition.
Oh, wow.
With people that were doing a joinery course. And I won.
Over and above the
people that were doing the course.
Brilliant.
And then I was meant to go through to like regionals and stuff, but I thought that was a bit embarrassing. That they wouldn't get me through to those next bits, so someone else did that. But so it kind of this guy came to us and said, "Oh, do you want a price for this work in Red Hill?" It was second fixing, so it's carpentry, on a load of these apartments. And my dad, bless him, he's not really like a risk taker, quite a risk averse. Yeah. I wasn't, being young and stuff, and I said so I priced it, and we obviously agreed the prices and stuff like that. And when I came back, I just finished my apprenticeship. I came back off holiday, and the guy we were working for, he went bust. Unfortunately, he had an accident. Really, really good boss. Unfortunately, had a bad accident, and obviously it didn't work, and so we didn't have any work. So we went straight on to doing this project.
Yeah, instead of him, right?
Yeah, instead of working for him. So all the stuff that I'd already been planning to do, we were getting our own work.
Yeah.
And
right place, right time. Perhaps,
it was perfect. And I think I'd always had that ambition to grow and be and do more. And I think when I was 17, 18, I'd say that to the guys we'd be working with, because we'll work on sites where there'd be quite a few other carpenters and stuff. I think at the time, our boss employed about 15 people.
Right, okay.
And they'll be saying, I don't know what it was, I wanted to be somewhere higher, and I didn't mean like working higher, but that's what they took it as. They'll be like, oh yeah, you're going to work in a high rise doing carpentry, like that's all you're going to be, sort of thing.
That's not what you meant.
No, they just try and insult you, and obviously because you had dreams and ambitions and stuff like that. So that always sits in my mind, and there's plenty more of that as I've grown and progressed.
Building trade banter, I guess. On site banter you get, don't it? I think.
Yeah, you'll never do any better. That's all you're going to be, sort of thing. Yeah. And I was willing to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah.
So I went from earning an apprentice wage to having, and then I realised there was that money drive there at that point, because we were priced on like per metre of architrave, per metre of skirting, doors and stuff. So I went in there and I just absolutely worked so hard, and I earned probably, I think it works about, I think it's like 8 or 9 times what I earned for my apprentice, like per week. So I earned that much more money. So by the time I was actually 20, I had enough money saved where I could buy a house.
Wow.
But the books didn't work. So because I was self-employed and I'd just come out of employment and stuff, they wouldn't let me have a mortgage.
Right.
So then as we've grown and progressed, and then actually there was a project, it was in Crowborough, actually at the Crossroads. So I worked for a developer there, and I was 21 at the time, where I site managed site at 21. So it was a development from 2 floors of offices into 4 apartments. And yeah, so that's kind of grown and progressed from there. So it was like managerial roles, and then I went off and then was like pricing a lot of my own jobs. And then it started off being like kitchens and bathrooms, and we were doing a lot of more office fit out for that same contractor that we started working for at the beginning.
Yeah, right.
But it was all over the country.
Right. Okay.
So we were doing stuff in like York, Oxford, Wales, all these different places. And at that point, me and my partner were thinking about having kids.
Okay.
So I was like, I need to bring this back, and that's when I started advertising locally. So I'm right in the van and stuff like that. And then that grew and progressed. You know, we'll be doing kitchens and bathrooms.
Okay.
You know, and then I was on the tool still at the point, so we'll be doing doors and all those sorts of stuff as well. And then it grew to extensions, and those extensions grew, and I found myself at a point where I was doing a lot of work. Yeah. So much work. Like, I tried to bring stuff more local, but I never saw anyone anyway, even though I was, not far away. Yeah. So I didn't see my youngest at the time. Okay. There was just a lot of, when you're doing the work and you're trying to manage 3 sites and do the work on some of those sites as well, it become quite hard. And
managing a family as well.
And trying to manage a family as well. Luckily, I've got a very, very understanding partner, and who's probably my biggest advocate, and just actually probably helps with pushing me, and just her trusting me is incredible. Yeah. But so all these sort of grown, and it just got to the point where I was like, I can't do this it was just getting to the point where I was like almost like broken, 7 days a week and paperwork and everything else. It was too much, and the kind of coming on and off the tools thing, that was like over years. I kind of, there'd be enough projects where I was running the projects, and I'd come and I'd run all the teams on there. So the other carpenters and bricklayers and plumbers, electricians, and then I'd get to a point where I'd be a bit quieter, so I'd get back on the tools again. So it was a bit of like a mix and match, and I'd just jump in, and I didn't really know how to run a business, but who does? Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Who goes into a business knowing how to run it straight away, unless you've got tens of years of experience. So I actually went to a local coaching company. Okay. And I gave them a call, and they just listened and understood, and I think they knew the challenges that I was facing as well. And so I just had a chat with them, went and met them, and when I first met them, I just broke down. Oh, really? It was just it was like so much. And they were asking me, and they were asking me like, I think it was like areas of your life, like how much time do you spend with friends, family, when do you get to do your own stuff, like what do you do and stuff. And I was like, I just work. Like there's nothing else, and it was like, wow. And it just kind of hit me, the reality hit. And this was, so we're now at the point, we've progressed quite quickly there, but we're now at the point where, was this halfway through 2019. Okay, right. And so I started to get help with progression and building the business and how things should be, or how things need to be, like cash flows, KPIs, like, and all this stuff. It's quite, it's very eye-opening, but I've absolutely always loved business and always loved learning about other people's businesses and stuff like that as well. So I'd always be listening, always asking questions. Yeah. And my father-in-law, I think that's where I saw the difference in my growing up. I met my partner when I was 17. Okay. And my father-in-law, which was her stepdad, he had his own construction company. Right. He was doing like insurance work and council work. Yeah. And I think he was at a point, I can't remember how to start. I think it was a lot of staff. I think it was like 50 staff or something. And he was doing his own developments and stuff as well. And there was like a difference in life for me. So it went from, like being a carpenter and stuff like that, and then realising, well, actually, he's done this all on his own. Yeah. I can do it too. Yeah. Well, what's stopping me doing that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there must have been a trigger point where you thought, I need to get some help here, and get some advice about slowing it down but also taking it to the next level. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's taking those risks. And I was reading like different business books and stuff like that as well. And they're not, I suppose, like they're self-help books, but like Napoleon Hill, some of his books, they just make you like, it's like, wow, like it's just all in your mind and what how you think things
Think and
are.
Grow Rich, right?
Yeah, of course.
Great
yeah,
book,
there's a few others as well, but yeah, no, it was in that kind of really helped towards that growth and progression. So before, and obviously this was before COVID, right?
Yeah.
So it started up, and then I think it was like that Christmas. I think there was, especially when you're growing a business and you've got different staff members and different projects and stuff, and some of the staff members at the time let me down, so then I had to jump in. So I think there was that Christmas. I think I only had like 3 days off over Christmas.
Wow, right.
And I knew that I was like, I've got to make a change, and still working hard. And then the first lockdown happened.
Yeah.
And that was 6 weeks, I think, wasn't it? 6 to 8 weeks, where everyone was like, before construction was opening. That was one of the first ones, wasn't it?
It
that
was,
opened back up.
Yeah.
But I spent that whole time, again, having a very supportive wife when we got 2 young kids at home at that point.
Right.
Well, they're 5 and 3 now, so Archie was our youngest wasn't even 1 at that point. And so I'd be reading, I'll be doing lots of Zooms, I'll be doing lots of business development and planning and doing lots of like structure for the business and stuff like that. I actually employed people throughout that lockdown, like carpenters. So like, right, when we're ready to go, that's like, I've got them ready, all the contracts and agreements and the policies and overviews of the business, stuff like that. Everyone knew. My first admin assistant I employed through that as well. And then so after those, whatever it was, 6 to 8 weeks,
you were ready to go.
Yeah, I just came out, but I had to move out. Because my wife, it seems silly now, doesn't it? But my wife was high risk.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Right.
So I didn't want to put her at risk. At the time, you think that this is really going to damage her or the kids, and anyone knew had it at that point.
I didn't think of anything like that. The people had to do that. So, but of course you're in construction, so you're out there. You're high risk, so you can't come back home and.
Yeah. So I actually lived in with my in-laws, and again tried to stay away from them whilst I was living there. So I moved out, left, and my little boy wasn't even 1, and a 3-year-old, and that was quite hard. But I just, again, it was kind of given the opportunity to just work. Yeah,
head down.
And you couldn't do anything else. No, right? You couldn't go out and do anything or really meet anyone at that point.
Yeah.
So I just went out and worked. And there was one point, again, it seems absolutely crazy now, but there was the admin lady that I employed. We were in an office, and there was enough space between us, and we're abiding by all the COVID rules and stuff. And I think it was like her mum had COVID or something, and then so she had to leave. And then I think like at that point, I think if you're in contact with someone who's been in contact with someone, you had to it just seemed mad. So, but I had nowhere to stay.
Right.
I had nowhere to stay, so I had to. But one night I had to sleep in the back of one of our vans.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it just seems mad now. And I did, but again, I was that point where I was like so determined I wouldn't put anyone at risk.
No.
And it seems a bit mad. We just bought a nice new house, and stuff like that, and. I had other places. I stayed in the back of a van for a night, and luckily one of my in-laws' friends had a spare. Well, it's nice to have a spare place in Tunbridge Wells apartment, so I ended up staying there. So I just worked throughout that, and that's where like a lot of the growth and progression kind of come in, and I've implemented that, and networking as well, meeting a lot of great people that have helped out.
Was that when has it always been called Clarity Homes? Or
no, it was Mann Building Contractors. It was just my name.
Yeah.
And when we rebranded last year, it was just I got to a point where I was like, I can't. This isn't us. Mann Building Contractors it's me, and it's got to be. It was kind of based on where we're going to be, not where we are now, and that's why the name changed.
Good idea. You had to step back, didn't you, and put a brand around it, and make it its own thing rather than just you. Because if you still do that path, you're back to where you were before.
Well, especially with the residential projects, I think people think that. It's one of those within a business, like, I go there, meet them and go through it all, and then we pass it on to the site manager or foreman or someone who's running the job, but they always expect to speak to you.
Yes.
So I always try and make sure I'm there for that, but then it's hard to, and that's why you have the staff members that take on those roles.
Yeah.
But then, so it's kind of getting that kind of business ability, like of who speaks to who and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, which is, as we've grown and progressed and got that business development help, it's helped us with that.
Yeah, you mentioned staff members there. Let's who have you got on your team? Let's drop a few names.
So we got so what happened? So going back, so we had an admin assistant who then left, and we then ended up employing Georgia.
Okay.
Who actually didn't have work at the time because she was a beautician.
Right.
So she came to work for us, but she was a beautician before.
So she couldn't work in COVID either.
No, but she came in from being a beautician and came into a construction company, and again, a construction company that was growing and developing and trying to find its feet as well.
Yeah.
And she's still with us now. She's doing absolutely fantastic.
Really
she's
good.
now doing a project manager's course, a RICS project manager's course. So she's becoming like an assistant project manager at the moment.
Right.
So she's doing really well. Emma, who's recently joined us this year, She came from insurance.
Okay.
But again, details and paperwork and stuff, it's absolutely brilliant.
Right.
So she's our office manager as such, and does a lot of the admin in there.
Excellent.
And helps us out there. Stuart, one of our site managers. Again, he's been great. He's come across and like managing a lot of our smaller residential sites.
Yep.
So he goes to each one. That's quite hard work, especially with the residential projects.
Okay.
So he took on a big role there, and that's massively appreciated. So he's done a lot of stuff with that. And then we've got Alan, who's one of our site managers. He's currently over at a project in Guildford, a Grade 2 listed refurb.
Okay.
So again, he's recently joined us on that project.
Yeah.
So he's there as well. And then we've got QSs they work for themselves, but they do a lot of our work. Quantity surveyor.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I'm using construction terminology.
That's all right.
But yeah, so he's a quantity surveyor that he's done a lot of our work. So he does a lot of our valuations and pricing for the projects and stuff like that, to make sure we're on track and to keep ahead of like when the clients are asking for extras, that we say, right, actually that is an extra, let's get that quoted before we do it and stuff.
Yeah. They must be, part of their role is they have to be really good at customer service, I would have thought. Yeah. Massive part, isn't it? So many builders or building companies get a little bit of a bad reputation because their communication skills are bad. Yeah.
It's one of those things that is difficult, especially when, it's really different in the commercial sector.
Okay, yeah.
Because you've got the clients that are, they just want a job done. That's it.
Right,
they've got no emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
Where the residential clients, they've got their life savings into it. It's their kids have been brought up there, and from young and stuff like that. So there's a lot of emotion there. They've
got to be a bit chameleonic, haven't they, with one or the other?
Yeah. So we have to, there's part of it, especially in the residential part, that does get hard sometimes, because you are in someone's house and you are trying to do their work, and there are extras which takes more time and stuff like that. But but we try and keep them updated as much as we can. And if we get clients that ask us stuff and we get stuff back to them the same day, because that's again with having a business where we've got people in the office, we can do that, and that's where we show our reliability with our clients. And then and everyone's always at the end of the phone as well. Yeah. So again, that always helps. So if any understanding, and all our site guys as well, are all like we not only employ them on their ability to get their work done, but almost on their kind of their demeanour and how they are with people as well. Yeah. If they were stroppy and didn't talk to people, they're not the right people for us.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a really big part. Important part.
Yeah, so we've got Rob and Ashley who work for us on the tools as well. They do, like they're multi-traders, they do a lot of stuff, again, a mixture of stuff. We can set them on something this day and the next day they're on something completely different, and they've got the ability to just chop and change like that. Okay. We got my dad, the carpenter.
Oh, of course. Yes, can't leave him out.
No, he's very, very good carpenter. So he does a lot of our like fine joinery carpentry work and stuff like that as well. It
must be good fun working with your dad. Is it?
No.
I was being optimistic.
No, yeah, you thought you'd try. But no, it's not too bad. But but he is good at his job, and he is, he does his day's work, and that's that sort of thing.
Yeah. Let's talk about, you mentioned earlier, well, it says in your about section about property professionals that you work with. I asked you the question earlier. Just to answer that, it's people like architects, surveyors, developers that you want to sort of get to know and have build relationships with, so they come to you first for the jobs. Yeah. Like architects, there's a recent project that we've undertaken at Corsair Barn for a developer, Greyfeather, and very bespoke design with that. But throughout that project, the architects, Kent Design Studio, done a great job of designing it. But you always want to make sure that there's that like you work together throughout the project. Yes. So there's no like I do this and they do that and then everyone argues. Yeah. It's trying to go along with them and being like, oh, this has changed. Like give them a call and chat through that. Yeah. Or get them on site and have a site visit. And that's it's a part of everyone working together, because there's a lot of, especially in construction, there's so many things. Like in one change, it could change the carpenters, the roofers, the electricians, the plumbers, the plasterers, and it's all of their work that they've priced. Because on more of the commercial new build jobs, we have got our contractors that come in on a price to do those things. Okay. But they are generally the same contractors that we've used for many years now. Yeah. Okay. That answers that. And so you spoke about this earlier, but your business is commercial and residential. So tell us a bit about the commercial stuff that you do. You mentioned Green King earlier. Yeah. So we started to grow the business, and it's more of the resi side, and we still do those, and that's what a lot of our guys are used to doing. Yeah. But recently we've been doing more commercial work. Or for commercial contractors. So the Grade 2 listed refurb in Guildford that I mentioned, the Southern Housing Construction Group, they're building, I think it's like 37 or 40 homes in this one plot. Yeah. But they don't want to have to deal with a refurb. They're house bashers as such. They do all the houses and do all that stuff, and that's what they plan to do. So we come in and help them and do that.
So we've got our own site set up there, so it's all completely separate from them.
Mm-hmm.
Green King, we're looking at tendering for a project for them at the minute, and obviously they own a lot of pubs and a lot of land, and we're going through the final stages at the moment. Hopefully by the time this comes out, we've got the contract, and I can explain a bit, and everyone will be able to see it on the socials a bit more.
Yeah.
Another one for an architect in Tunbridge Wells. There's a commercial landlord that's renting out their land their property in Haywards Heath, and they're going to turn that into, Pure Gym have signed the lease for that.
Yes.
So they need us to go in and put in stairs and structurals and make sure everything's ready. So Pure Gym just go in, put their carpets in, and move all their equipment in. So that's more of the commercial side of the business, and cladding remediation as well, actually, which is one. Okay. Which is quite a strong one, which I could spend hours and hours talking about. But
we just know that
the meaning of that, and we have done a couple of projects. Nothing like majorly massive because we're only a smaller company, but that's some of the stuff we've been doing too.
Excellent. Let's talk about the awards that you've been winning. There's been 2 or 3 or 4 maybe, and some in the running as well. Yeah.
So there were. The interviews were. There was one. What was it? I think that was the Southeast one. It was in Ashford last year.
Yeah.
And we put in for 3, and we were shortlisted for all 3, but didn't win any of them. I was like, 3 of them out of 3 of them, surely. But no, we were shortlisted for those. But I think it was partly because we were growing as a business, and that's why I then went in for the Times of Tunbridge Wells, the Entrepreneur of the Year award, which I won, which was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, well done.
I think again that showed like the business development, and they look at so much stuff for that. I don't know how
they want to know all your figures and everything.
The figures as well. And seeing like the development in that as well, and what you're doing projects wise. It's crazy. And we've just put in. There's another Southeast Construction Awards we put in for. We've got Women in Construction, which is we've put in for Georgia. Okay. I think it's Best Contractor and Best Project. And I think we've found out today, actually, this morning, that we are shortlisted for the Best Construction Project, which is great. Yeah.
This is all great PR for you, though, as well, isn't it? Not just stuff like this, but when you're talking and you're putting on your email signature and it goes on your website, and
it does look good, and I think it's good on the staff as well because they can see that growth. And I think there's a lot of people miss out on that. There's a lot of staff that was probably one of the hardest things, I think. As growing a business, was like dealing with staff, man management and people management.
Everyone says that, don't they?
Yeah, but I think we especially with our team, and we employ the right people for that. But we're quite a close knit team, and we do have fun like in the office and stuff, and we do go out to these awards and dinners and things like that. And we'll come together as a team. So it is really good fun. I say that. Well, hopefully everyone else does as well. But
I'm sure they do. They enjoy going out because you do a lot on social media, don't you? And I know you do a lot of sort of videos yourself on site and talking about what's going on.
I actually have a videographer that does that for us.
Oh, do you?
Okay.
Snellski
Studios.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so
good.
He does a lot of our videography. I do some of my own stuff as well.
Yeah. But you understand the importance of it, and getting your name out there like that.
Well, it's trying to help people understand about how a project like moves forward as well, especially when it comes to like a new developer or a residential client. Yeah. About the ways in which we can like value engineer the project. Right. As well. So there's stuff like that which goes a long way, which could save a lot of time and money, and that could happen, during the project, or that could be thought about at the beginning. Yeah. But sometimes you can only see it one way or the other. Yeah. But so there's a lot of that.
A lot of that, which is good. Yeah. Let's talk about the future for a bit. So I think it's probably just continuing growth is what you're looking for, is it?
It is. Yeah. It's just continual growth and. I visualize it, and I think again my staff visualize it to the point where we see like the big tier 1 contractors like Kiers and stuff like that. That we will be that big.
Excellent.
We will be. Yeah, we will be, and there's no ifs or ands or buts. Excellent. And that's if we can get to from before COVID when it was like just me and one employee at that point. Yeah. And visualizing to where we got now, that was only a thought in my mind 2.5 3 years ago.
That was only 3 years ago.
And now we are where we are, and I'm visualizing what's the future's going to be going further forward.
It's really cool. What do you you obviously love the business side and working with people, but what do you get out of the most? What do you enjoy about it the most?
I think it's just the drive and the hard work. Like it's driving for something that's like bigger than me. And then you've got like the staff members that like not rely upon you, but you give them work and support them and their families and stuff like that. Yeah. But I mean, also the fantastic projects that we create.
I can say once something's been built or once finished and you can look at it, and that must be fulfilling.
Yeah. I mean, we just finished the Corsairn Barn project. We're just waiting on the final couple of bits from building control, but yeah, I mean, it's done,
Yeah.
and it just looks incredible. And once the green like we've laid all the green turf down and stuff, it just finished it off, you know. And that's when we had the video, so that will be out soon. The videos showing all of that, but that looks incredible, and it's just the design in that. And again, there's some of the resi ones as well, where we create this massive space that it doesn't. I think the clients don't even think sometimes how big it's going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's seeing that for them and creating larger spaces for their families too.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and explaining your journey, how you've got to where you are. It's been really interesting.
Well, thank you for the invite, and thank you for the patience in the last 12 months of trying to get me on.
That's all right, mate. That's all right. So all Andrew's details are on this podcast underneath. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe. But if you need any, building advice or any commercial or residential, then please get in touch with Andrew.
Yeah, even if it's just, at the minute we're helping an architect where a client wants to build a whole new build.
Okay.
And so I'm going off, you're just finishing off.
No, it's fine. No, carry on.
But where they're trying to get a new build, but again, costs and stuff at the minute are just crazy. So expensive, but they still need to build it, and they're trying to sell their house, and obviously the way the market is. So we've gone in with an architect, and we're trying to value engineer it and trying to make sure they can get what they want, so at least they can move in as well. So we do work with clients in that way, and it could be the same for a full refurb or extension on a property, or working with a client if you want to work with a reliable contractor to undertake the commercial works as well. So so I just want to finish that.
That's all right. So that as well.
Yeah.
Get in touch. So thanks very much, and we'll see you for another podcast soon. Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much. Cheers.